Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Matt for the Remnant Forum. Breaking news this weekend involving Bishop Robert Morlino of the Diocese of Madison, Wisconsin. He's made a decision, a courageous decision, to apologize for a recent letter in which it appeared that His Excellency had warned all Catholics to stay away from the priests of the Society of St. Pius X in his diocese. Now, this apology took place last night on Raymond Arroyo's The World Over on EWTN. Raymond Arroyo, by the way, it must be said, has been on fire lately, with some of the most important and clarifying interviews to appear on that network in some time. Most especially his barn burner interview of the insufferable modernist Walter Cardinal Casper some months ago. If you have not seen this, Google it right now, pop up some corn, gather the kiddies around, and get ready for one show that's amazingly entertaining, in which Raymond pretty much just outs as the modernist he is, Cardinal Casper. Well worth watching. But in this case, last night, Raymond was interviewing Bishop Morlino, and he asked him a series of hard-hitting and dead-on-point questions about Pope Francis's now really controversial motu proprio this week, streamlining the annulment process. Raymond also asked Bishop Morlino about the question of Francis, for whatever reason, granting some sort of quasi-faculties to the Society of St. Pius X priests to hear confessions for 1 year during the Year of Mercy. The answer is quite interesting. Let's just take a look.
The Society of St. Pius X, which is a breakaway traditional group, they were given, under the Year of Mercy by Pope Francis, faculties to have licit and valid confessions. Now, just days before this, you had issued a letter in your diocese urging your people to stay away from the Society of St. Pius X because they lacked faculties. Your thoughts on this, and does this in any way change your warning to your people and to people around the country?
Well, let me say something, Raymond, in the name of transparency. In the preparation of that letter, which I prepared because of concrete situations in the diocese.
Right.
I mean, it was not my intention to address the national church, but I know these things can happen. But I was addressing concrete situations. I had asked for several drafts. And as I was going through the drafts and making them my own, I asked that that sentence that said basically, from my point of view, I'd have nothing to do with them. I asked that that sentence be deleted, to tell you the truth. And it didn't get deleted. So at this point, I want to take the opportunity of being on with you to apologize for that sentence. I never meant to say that. And as a matter of fact, I was asked to reissue the document for publication somewhere, and I told them I would only reissue it if I could modify it, and I modified it by removing that language. I have never felt that way about another priestly society, have nothing to do with them. I don't even speak that way. But I take the responsibility for that, but I also apologize for it. I think, as I said in many places in my letter, that these are very fine people trying to act in good faith.
Stop the tape. Stop the tape. Okay. Now, did you see how that went? These are the words, and this is the attitude of someone who is sincere. He doesn't agree with the Society of St. Pius X, but he is sincere, he's charitable, he loves them. He says they are Catholics. He says they are good people. They're in the church. They're working on this technicality. And there's such a difference between that and other folks that you see, especially in the neo-Catholic world, holdouts who snarl at the Society of St. Pius X as schismatics and guilty of mortal sin and leading souls to hell, and their masses are worse than black masses. When you hear that sort of thing, please understand that you're listening to water carriers of the revolutionaries. I'm not saying that they're intentional, they're malicious or anything else, but that's in fact what they are. They're carrying water for revolutionaries. I saw on social network the other day on Facebook, I couldn't believe it. Someone asked one of these neo-Catholic websites, are you saying that the Society of St. Pius X priests are in schism or thus are in mortal sin? And the response of this moderator just defies belief. I mean, he said, yes, the 600 plus priests of the Society of St. Pius X are all in mortal sin. End, period, paragraph, that's it. You just can't believe that when you hear that sort of thing, that person can be sincere, and certainly that he can be sincerely trying to bring people together. There's just no way. Now, these are the people that Pope Benedict XVI admonished in his letter lifting the excommunications of the Society of St. Pius X bishops back in 2011. And for the many thousands who are new recruits to tradition, let me reiterate, yes, back in 2011, the Pope lifted the excommunication of the Society of St. Pius X bishops. Now, the problem was it made absolutely no difference to the critics of the Society of St. Pius X. Even after those excommunications were lifted, the critics went right on saying that they were in schism. In any case, Benedict wrote a letter lifting those excommunications, and he talks about these severe and nasty critics of our brothers and sisters in the Society of St. Pius X. He writes, quote, by the way, this letter is on the Vatican website. You can Google it and take a look for yourself. Quote, at times, one gets the impression that our society needs to have at least one group to which no tolerance may be shown, which one can easily attack and hate, and should someone dare to approach them, in this case the Pope, he too loses any right to tolerance. He too can be treated hatefully, without misgiving or restraint, end quote. And that's what we're seeing now still. If someone were to ask me what is the number one reason why the remnant is hated and attacked as rad trad and all that, the answer is simple. It's because we too approach our brothers and sisters in the Society of St. Pius X as fellow Catholics in the Church. And for this, we also become part of that group that Pope Benedict talks about, to which no tolerance can be shown. And you can pretty much hate them if you want, because they're so far beyond the pale. And thankfully, Bishop Morlino is doing something to end that destructive, dangerous, divisive, and counterproductive attitude. Let's finish up the clip.
However, the truth of the matter is that they do not have jurisdiction from communion with the Pope of the sort that they need. Mm-hmm. Well, evidently they have some equivalent of that for the Year of Mercy, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
And but it is my hope that Pope Francis said some hopeful words, and it is my hope that there can be a reconciliation there. One of the reasons why I celebrate the extraordinary form here regularly myself is in the hope that there can be reconciliation all around.
You see, sincere critics of the Society of St. Pius X refer to them exactly as Archbishop Morlino does here. And it's a dead giveaway. You see the sincerity. And we saw the sincerity with Cardinal Castrian Hoyos some years ago, when during a press conference that was recorded by secular press, I was there, it was in Nebraska, the Fraternity of St. Peter set it up, and I asked His Eminence, at this point, who was head of the Ecclesia Dei Commission in Rome, it was his job to know what the Society's status was. He was the go-to guy for the Pope with respect to, quote-unquote, bringing the Society back into the Church. So I said to him, Your Eminence, I'm a journalist, I want to do the right thing here. Is schism the correct word that we should use with respect to the Society of St. Pius X? And Cardinal Hoyos' answer was immediate. No, schism is not the right word. It's incorrect. They are in the Church. They have an irregular canonical status that will be resolved soon. So the thing is, if you're trying to fix the situation here, you don't use inflammatory rhetoric that only blows all sides apart. It's ridiculous, and it's supremely counterproductive. They're in mortal sin. They're a bunch of schismatics. They're this and they're that. This is the rhetoric of ideologically motivated persons and organizations with an axe to grind, apparently not so much against the Society's schism or their mortal sin, but against the Society's principled stand against the modernist takeover of the Church. So my question is, when you start adding all of this up, Bishop Morlino, apologizing to the Society, saying that they're good folks in the Church, the Holy Father himself coming out and giving them some sort of quasi-faculties to hear confession validly and licitly for 1 year during the Year of Mercy, which obviously he would not do if they were outside the Church, if they were schismatics. You start adding all of these things up, and, I just wonder if maybe we can stop this now. Can we stop the dangerous and divisive rhetoric that the Society of Pius X is in schism? Because really, the Society's lack of canonical status at this crucial moment in the history of our Church is the very last thing that any of us need to concern ourselves with. And those who are still insisting on calling them schismatics are part of the problem, not part of the solution. They're attempting, anyway, to undermine the truly militant Catholic counter-revolution by going after the flagship operation of Catholic resistance for over 30 years, the Society of St. Pius X. And that's why we continue at the Remnant to defend the Society. First of all, because they're our brothers, and secondly, because it's grossly unjust, and thirdly, because the attacks on the Society of St. Pius X most often are attacks against the counter-revolution in toto, as a whole. That's what's really going on. So it's important to understand what's really going on now. The Church is in total disarray, and this disarray has been coming for a long time. Yeah, Vatican II is when it came out of the closet, but it predates Vatican II by a long time, too. Pius X, St. Pius X, was targeting the modernist infiltration of the Catholic Church at high levels way back, 1907. It's been a long time coming. And the traditionalist counter-revolution, led by men such as Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre, is emerging now as something that must have been completely justified all along. After all, look what's happening at the moment. They're tampering with doctrine and dogma, moral theology, the faith, even in the Vatican. So this motu proprio of Pope Francis, streamlining the annulment process, was for many, many people the last straw. And I believe the Synod on the Family in October will be the last straw for many more millions of sincere, good-hearted, former Neo-Catholics who will have had enough and will find themselves overnight being traditional Catholics. You know what that means? Being Catholic, which is all traditional Catholicism has ever been all about. We didn't invent anything. We didn't come up with anything new. We're just saying we need to stick with the old traditions of the faith, of the Church, as they were handed down to us from our grandparents and from their grandparents and all the way back. It's all it's ever been, is being Catholic. And I think there's going to be a great coming together there's going to be a sort of an erasing of the lines, demarcations between neo-Catholics and so-called traditional Catholics if this continues. And that's going to be the silver lining. Let's prepare for that. For heaven's sakes, let's stop sniping at each other. Edward Pentin, writing for today, September 11th, for the National Catholic Register, EWTN's flagship magazine once again, he reports just how out of control it is, and in my opinion, just how necessary it becomes for all of us to stand together and get ready for hell on earth, get ready to resist. Now, in Pentin's article, Pope Attacked Over Motu Proprio, Cardinal Casper reasserts his proposal. It's the title of it. He writes the following. Again, National Catholic Register. He writes the following, quote, "Reports have emerged that a 7-page dossier obtained by the German newspaper Die Zeit is circulating around the Curia, in which senior Vatican officials have voiced discontent with the recent change in church law on annulments and on absence of consultation over the matter. On Tuesday, the Pope made sweeping reforms to make the process of obtaining declaration of nullity simpler, quicker, and cheaper. According to Die Zeit, the officials juridically tear to pieces the Pope's motu proprio on annulment reform, accuse the Holy Father of giving up on important dogma, and assert that he has introduced de facto Catholic divorce. The report also mentioned physical aggression coming up against the pontiff." Whatever that means, I have no idea. And the Register article continues, quote, "Further concerns mentioned in the document are that despite the gravity of the issue, no dicasteries, including the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, as well as bishops' conferences, were even consulted about the decision, a claim the Register has had confirmed by numerous sources. Critics say this goes against the Pope's calls for synodality and collegiality and resembles an ecclesialized Führerprinzip, ruling from the top down, by decree and without any consultation or without any checks." End quote. And this article goes on, and it's extremely foreboding. And remember, this didn't come out of the Remnant. This is coming from the National Catholic Register, and we're seeing more and more of this. On and on it goes. As the process worsens, more and more Catholics are waking up to what's happening now in the Church and what's been happening for an awfully long time. They're streamlining now the annulment process. It wasn't too long ago that they were streamlining the canonization process. It wasn't too long before that they were streamlining the Mass. You see the pattern? They're knocking the knees out of the Catholic faith, religion, rubrics, liturgy, dogma, morality. And it's been going on for a long time. And as this horrific and frightful reality becomes apparent to more and more people, the Society of St. Pius X's lack of canonical status is the very last thing any of us need to worry about. War is being declared in the church, on the church, by modernists in high places. Cardinals such as Raymond Burke, archbishops such as Athanasius Schneider, and thousands of priests now are standing up and preparing to resist. And we need to get it together. We need, as lay people, we need to stand with them. This is it. This is the crucial moment. And we need to pray with them, and we need to pray for them. And to that end, I'd invite you to go to our website and please sign up for our what we're calling the Remnant Prayer Brigade. It's on the homepage right now, and it hopefully will unite the worldwide remnant in prayer, praying the traditional Catholic prayer to St. Michael the Archangel every day at 3 o'clock Central Time for the defeat of the Casper proposal at the Synod on the Family and for the victory of those courageous princes of the Church who even now are preparing to stand against this disastrous attack on the family and on the infallible teachings of the Church on faith and morals. It has come to that finally, and we all have a role in this to do our part, whether to stand and protest or whether to pray. But we need to wake up to what's happening. This is it. I'm Michael Matt, and we'll see you next week.